end of the front one. So I'll open this up to about 3/4 power, and the wind coming off of it, the slipstream, will then wind the second one up, and then I can put fuel into it and start the second one through the slipstream of the front one. When I'm sitting in the cockpit, I can select down, spread, and it'll all automatically do everything itself. So when you see it open up, it's doing it all itself. And when it's doing it, it's not only just opening up the wings, it's pressurizing the wing, the fuel, because there's fuel in the midsection wings. So it's pressurizing the fuel system. It's opening up valves to get the fuel feed from those wings into the center wings. There's 7 tanks in the aeroplane. It's then connecting all the flaps up and the ailerons up. As it's moving, everything's connecting itself up. It's amazing. This aeroplane is the last Gannet in the world to land on an aircraft carrier in the military. It was selected by the Admiralty to say farewell to all the Gannet types in the world, and it landed on our biggest aircraft carrier in the UK called the Ark Royal. And it landed on there in 1978, and after that they were all decommissioned and the Ark Royal was scrapped.
As the Battle of the Atlantic drew to a close during World War II, the Admiralty was looking into the future and saw the continued need for a high-performance specialised anti-submarine aircraft. One of several proposals put forward was one from Fairey Aviation to produce a twin-engine version of their successful Firefly fighter. With the second engine buried in the fuselage behind the pilot, Fairey had been experimenting with the twin-engine installation, driving contra-rotating propellers since 1935. In the face of official disinterest, at one point, they had a battle light bomber, infamous because of the mauling they received during the Battle of France, fitted with their P-24 engine, driving 2 propellers. The Americans were interested for some time in using the P-24 for the new P-47 Thunderbolt, but eventually abandoned the idea. The Navy received their first Alpha Sierra 1s at Royal Naval Air Service Ford in April 1954, and extensive trials began with 703 X-Flight, whose pilots did not have the luxury of a trainer version, and so were finding out about the completely different handling qualities of the turboprop engines. Most importantly, what they did not respond to sudden demands for power in the same way as a piston engines. One aircraft was deployed to Egypt for tropical trials, as Fairey had a fair amount of interest from overseas navies, while the Royal Navy's first operational Gannet Squadron 826 Naval Air Service embarked on HMS Eagle and sailed to the Mediterranean. Operational use soon ironed out any remaining difficulties with the engine and airframe, but the Gannet was considered to a little underpowered, particularly in warmer climates and with the increased weapons loads the Admiralty now required. The AN/APS-20 radar was to be mounted in a radome underneath the centre fuselage, and room would be made for an operator's position by deleting the second cockpit and moving the exhaust forward of the wing. A larger tail was necessary to combat the instability caused by the bulbous radome. Finally, flying in August 1958, trials were carried out with HMS Centaur in November and December. The Royal Navy first received the first production Airborne Early Warning Freeze. Initially lukewarm to the AEW idea, the Admiralty soon realised the usefulness of such a type when it was realised that the new Buccaneer strike aircraft could easily sneak up on a carrier task force and would not be detected until it was far too late with the ship-based radars to successfully be able to react and repel the foreign intruders. Just as the airborne early warning Fairey Gannet was proving to be one of the most useful aircraft the Royal Navy had ever operated, including backing up the RAF and Army on numerous occasions by providing airborne early warning systems for those services. The UK suffered a change of government in 1964, while a replacement for the Gannet AEW was planned and would be very necessary in the next decade. The new government cancelled all of these plans, along with the Navy's new large carrier CVA-01 and numerous other planned defence projects, including of course the TSR-2. Plans to keep the Gannet in operation for much longer than initially intended were put into place, and the AEW-3s and a small number of the COD-4s remained in service until more defence cuts from another government spelt the end of the Royal Navy's carrier force. The Gannets were flown to Lossiemouth, most to be scrapped. The radars were rescued and used for the RAF Shackleton's force for land-based airborne early warning. Bear in mind, these same radars were fitted to Sky Raiders back in the 1950s, but the Royal Navy was now without any form of airborne early warning. The summer of 1982, less than 4 years after the retirement of the last AEW Gannet, soon showed the folly of this retirement, with the Royal Naval ships lost to low-level Argentine attacks during the Falklands War. Airborne early warning coverage would almost certainly have saved the life of these ships and the sailors who lost their lives. Because of short-sighted defence cuts, only after the Falklands War did the Royal Navy get back airborne early warning cover that was as effective as that provided by the Gannet. So today's inspiration is about a Gannet which unfortunately has been let to rot out on an old airfield in Scotland called Errol, and a friend of mine has done this diorama to actually represent that aircraft, and he's done it justice. He's done it more than justice. It's a fantastic build, which I will let you watch as we go through and explain a bit more about it. Built in 1956, XG882 served at the RNAS Culdrose with station flight from 1959 and then 849 Naval Air Squadron for several years before being upgraded and returning to service in 1966 at RNAS Lossiemouth, still with 849 NAS. She retired in 1976 and used as a fire practice airframe, but brought back from the dead in 1982 by being combined with bits of XA463 and XG889 to produce a complete example. Sadly, the years since have not been kind to her, and she now looks to be thoroughly derelict. Missing a prop, the starboard aileron is hanging down, many panels are missing, and the cockpits have been smashed and open to the elements for years, so probably a disaster area by now. Unfortunately, nothing has been done to save or restore this airframe, and so it still sits in the exact same place, corroding away where she was once delivered many decades ago as a complete aircraft. Dominio Dominique Berson has done a stunning job with this. He makes it look sad, but also a genius in the fact that it does look like what the aircraft looked like several years back. Just looking between the original and what Dominique has produced is stunning. I mean, the break in the glass with jagged edges, parts missing off the wings, the aileron gone, the green, the mould, the stains, everything is brought to life here, in which is really quite sad and more annoying to me, as my grandfather, well, both grandfathers, but one of my grandfathers flew for the Royal Naval Air Service during World War II, and my dad also flew planes as well. And so for me, I hate it when a piece of our history is just left to rot. It just does not sit right with me. So, as I said earlier, another couple of pictures up there of X882. I hope you've enjoyed this inspiration and video. A really big thank you to Dominio Dominique Berson for his fantastic diorama of the unfortunate Gannet. Don't forget to press like and subscribe to see many more of these videos. So it leaves me to say, wherever you are, be safe, take care, much magic, and of course, happy modelling.